Let's look at our next example. In this example, we're going to try and reach to a remote website. As always, we'll try google.com. We put it in. As we can see, it is going to reply and tell us that, hey, I can fetch the contents of the remote website you have asked for. We can also confirm this by using a burp collaborator, or you can use netcat, whatever one you want to use. It's up to you. Both of them are a good way to make sure there's an SSRF. I'm going to push that in there, and we're going to, actually let's put HTTP in there, and we're going to confirm that there is going to be a request coming from another server that's not our IP address. So for example here, I know my IP address, this is not it, and I can confirm that this request came from a remote server. We can also go as far as typing in our URL and putting in SSRF test from target site. And as soon as we put that in, we'll get another request, and we can observe the request that came in, and we can confirm that this is the request that we want to send from our target website. And of course, we have the IP address, and we can see what kind of headers it sent us and so on. But now let's look at what we can do with a local IP. So for example, if I want to check for the metadata IP address, again, as a reminder, every cloud service provider has this IP address. They give you some metadata. Sometimes they give you access to the secret keys, depending on how it's configured. So in this case, we're going to try it out, and the server comes back and says, hey, only remote URLs are allowed. We're also going to look for localhost. We want to see if we have access to the localhost on the machine where this backend is functioning or working on. So we're going to type that in. Same thing. So it implies that either they have some defense mechanism against SSRF, or that there is some filtering in place. Lucky for us, there is a website called xip.io. You can also create your own domain and do this. Both of those work, but xip pretty much lets you resolve whatever IP address you put in behind their domain. So whatever goes behind xip.io will be the IP it would resolve to. And that could be always a local IP address like 10.0.1, or it could be something like the metadata IP address that we want to get access to. So we're going to type that in, and in this example, I want to access 169.254.169.254.xip.io. I gotta make sure we put HTTP before it, and we're going to send our request. So now the request is no longer telling us that it's not a remote website. It's just simply coming back and saying, hey, 404 not found, and that's probably because nothing is hosted on the web root. But if we type in metadata, we'll send that request. Same thing, but we know for DigitalOcean, the correct request is metadata/v1. So we're going to try that out. As we put in go, it comes back and gives us access to the metadata instance and the information that comes with it. In this case, we don't have access to anything super sensitive, but we are showing the impact of having an SSRF with access to localhost. You can also change this out to localhost itself. Again, if you want to refer to a local host with an IP address, that IP address is 127.0.0.1. We're going to push that in, and we're going to take the metadata out, and it goes back and it says same thing. It looks like they are doing some sort of a filtering against 127.0.1. So that means this is still being filtered in comparison to the metadata IP address that we found the bypass for. So it's a great tool to know. Again, you can make your own domain. So if you own a domain like nahamsec.com, you can go ahead and make that record an A record within your management, with the domain management site, and point it to, you can make an SSRF domain and point that to whatever IP address you want, including the 169.254 IP address that we're going to use. But we don't have to make it complicated. xip.io is a great resource to use in case of an SSRF.